Good morning and happy full moon in Gemini. It is the last full moon of 2025 and it is intense. And I'm going to get right to pulling up the chart so that we can take a look at what energies are happening. All right, here we are. Tonight, this is the 4th of December. The sun and the moon are at 13 degrees, 3 minutes of Gemini and Sagittarius. Um, where to start? So I think this time I want to do something a little bit different. I just want to cover the background, this Plutonian energy that we've all been living through forever, but it's really been ramped up since 2020. Things really started to shift, and the shift is quickening now. And through the end of this year, we have a lot of intense changes that are upon us, and a lot of them require us to do our part if we're willing. And so let me just give a recap about what's going on with Pluto. So in evolutionary astrology, Pluto represents the soul, the desires, the unconscious desires of the soul. And Pluto, because it's an outer planet, it is the evolution, it works about the evolution of humanity, how humanity is evolving, and also how we are personally, wherever it's located in our particular chart. It'll talk about what we are evolving through. So when I do these moon reports, I don't really talk about the houses very much because the energy, Pluto and Aquarius, is going to be the same. It's just that in different parts of the world, the houses will be different. So I don't really mention the houses. I'm just talking about the energies in general. And in your own birth chart or in your own place where you are, you can look at the energies of where that's actually happening for you. So Pluto is at its base about metamorphosis. This is about change. It's not like just changing. Um, it's about deep change, and it's a water sign. Pluto is a water sign. Scorpio, it rules Scorpio. Scorpio is a water sign, and it and it's about deep change on the emotional level. So with Pluto, things are the emotions that are deeply protected and hidden. The scorpion is a very protective animal, and it wants to hide itself and prevent its vulnerability. And so it's really difficult to get to those deep emotions. Um, and as we all have known during this last month, all the planets have been through Scorpio, and a lot of deep emotions have been coming to the surface that we've had to look at. Once things come to the surface and we can see them, we can actually make a change. And so Pluto is about transmutation. It's about like the metamorphosis of a caterpillar to a butterfly. And so in Aquarius, what we're talking about is coming in contact with our individuality, like how we are unique and different from everybody else around us. And the problem with that is it's throughout history and just intertwined in our DNA and in our deep psyches and in our long-term memory, even really through lifetime. Standing out as unique has been deadly. We all know about the witch trials that happened. These are the most recent things of history, but standing out as being unique is threatening to the paradigm that we've been living in. And so most of us are afraid. And you can look around, we have like the whole fashion thing going on. Everybody's got to wear the same things, same kinds of things. Oh, you can't wear white past a certain date, that kind of thing. That's a very externally controlled kind of rule. And so those externally controlled kinds of rules are the Capricorn. They're like the social order, the rules that we follow to keep everybody safe and the same. Pluto went through Capricorn between 2008 and 2024. It ended in November of 2024, so a little more than a year ago. And since then, Pluto has been in Aquarius, and Pluto will be in Aquarius for the next 19 years, so 18 more. Um, and the idea behind this is that we are really breaking free from the fear and the emotional resistance to being our individual selves. Now, the way evolutionary astrology and talks about this is that wherever Pluto is, it'll show us what the energy is, whatever sign it's in, and its polarity point. So we would say 1 degree Leo, way over here next to um, Jupiter, is the direction of evolution. And the direction of evolution is Leo. Now, it's interesting because Leo is about the heart. It has to do with the inner child. Think about a child. A child it doesn't know the rules. And so it's just authentic. It's the way that it is. And authenticity is the energy that we're all going for. And the reason is that in the paradigm that we've lived in, where we've had this hierarchy of people that are telling us what to do, and then we follow the rules. And if we don't follow the rules, so there's punishment and all of that. That paradigm is over. Now, it's still lingering. We all can still see it, but it's trying to end. And starting next year, it will really quicken. And so the energies of these times really then is to pull ourselves inward. And I've been talking about this for the last several months, really for the last year, about how the energy is being pulled inward. Um, Uranus has been through Taurus. Uranus is about breaking free from these value structures that were linked to the old way. And we're in this place of change for that. And so Uranus over here is now retrograde. It's been in Gemini for a little while, where we were beginning the process of breaking free from the mindset that kept us in this past way. And we're going to talk a lot about Gemini today because this is where the moon is. But I just want to set up the background. Um, and so Uranus has gone retrograde really to take a look at how we've seen a little bit of the future. Our minds are accustomed to a little bit of that future energy, that breaking apart, that freedom kind of energy. Um, Also, I want to point out that Uranus is the planet that's ruling Pluto right now, because Uranus is the ruler of Aquarius, and that's where Pluto is. And so there's this energy to break out of the value structure as part of what will free us from the constraints of the past paradigm. And in order to do that, we're all being pulled inward. I want to talk about the nodes. The nodes are the emotional growth curve. This is how the emotional growth curve is the moon. These are the south node here and the north node up here. The south node is how we have emotionally seen ourselves in the past. And in the sign of Virgo, we're talking about seeing ourselves within a hierarchy. We're talking about seeing ourselves as imperfect. We're talking about seeing ourselves as separate from each other. I mean, if we look around, you know, the person next to you is definitely not you. Our brains have been accustomed to that. And um, Mercury rules Virgo. And so, like I said, I am just setting up what's going on with these moons. So, um, Gemini, Gemini and Virgo are both ruled by Mercury. Um, so we're coming from this place of past, seeing ourselves in the past as separate from each other, as not good enough, as, oh, yeah, there's emotional ties to this, which has got to do with guilt and shame. And we're moving away from that energy. That's the South Node, that's the past. Now the North Node is in Pisces. Pisces is really the spiritual energy. I like to call it the Godhead. It's the energy where, energy is what there is. Everything is a form of energy. We are energy. We are literally electrical beings, water and electricity that are moving us. And consciousness is electricity. Everything is electricity and energy. And the North Node is essentially saying that we're moving toward aligning our consciousness with the Godhead. Another way Pisces is described is as oneness of the whole, where Virgo, its opposite, is apart. And so the part and the little pieces, it's been an interesting thing because what we've gone through in the past was absolutely necessary for our understanding, for our ability to grow consciously. We have to have conscious experience with what being separated looks like. And if we look outside of ourselves, we can see what's happened. I mean, just to name a few things, we've got war, we have destruction of the environment. We've lost so many species on the planet, and it's because we don't value the whole. Um, and so in Pisces, the emotional energy, not shame and guilt, but it's this energy of acceptance. This is the energy, the emotional energy that wholeness will draw from our emotional bodies. Acceptance and forgiveness. We all make mistakes. It's universal love. And these are the energies that our future selves are going to embrace and hold. So, all right, that's the setup. Let's talk about this moon. Okay, so the moon is in Gemini. Now, the new moon was in Gemini in May. And it began the brand new cycle of how we perceive our reality. So let's talk about Mercury for a second because Mercury is the ruler of Gemini and Virgo, as I said earlier. Wherever Mercury is ruling this Geminian moon. Mercury is in Scorpio. When Mercury is in Scorpio and or retrograde, we're looking at the inside. We're looking at the depths of our emotional self. And so Mercury right now is really, it's aligning itself with um, what has been held onto in our emotional depth. And what it's saying is that we have this place of consciousness that's been held onto and has held us back. And bringing it to the surface will help us to see that and then break free from it, transmute. It's that Plutonian energy. So Gemini is consciousness. It's it's the mental energy that pervades all of reality. And it's about perspective. Now, we all have different perspectives because we all sit in different places and we all have different experiences and different opinions. And everybody's opinion is absolutely valid. The thing about Gemini and this mind energy is that I find is that it's very manipulatable. We are not necessarily told the truth, or we don't necessarily tell the truth. We can hide things. And Gemini is these two figures, the Roman numeral two. There's one side and then there's the other side. And so this energy of being able to hide parts of the truth and or to be really above on board, it's very difficult to tell what is real and what is not real. And so we really become vulnerable. And I think that this Mercury in Scorpio is really accentuating the vulnerability that we have when we pay attention to what is being told to us from outside of ourselves. Like I said, we all have an opinion. We all have the ability to gather information from our environment and to bring that information in and to um, discern what the reality is. When we are told what the reality is, and perhaps persecuted for discussing a different reality, and if we look back at history, that's the thing. We've Copernicus decided that the world was round and not flat, and he was literally put in house arrest for the rest of his life. And so we there's this reluctance to speak our truth, to speak what it is that we see. And really, we're in this whole cancel culture energy right now, and we are information is being suppressed, and we're really needing to expose this and understand that just because we're told things from the outside does not necessarily mean they're true. The opposite of Gemini is Sagittarius. And Sagittarius follows Scorpio, where it's just like this dark energy where we're down in the depths of this emotional garbage that we've been holding on to that really has held us back. And when we come to the next side, we come out of that, and you can see that it's pointing up and to the right. The symbol for Sagittarius, which is moving out. It's like coming out of this limitation energy and moving into the air of freedom. So Sagittarius at its base is about freedom. It's about the freedom. It's a fire sign, so it's about the freedom to just live. Like all wild animals are free, and it's very difficult to, have a relationship with a wild animal because they don't have any interest in, being our cuddle toys. Human beings are also free, which is an interesting concept, because because we live in these Capricornian societies that have rules and regulations that we have to follow, we really have become limited into our freedom. And I think really my personal opinion is that the depression, anxiety, the excessive drug use, alcohol use, all of these things are to suppress these emotional feelings, Scorpio, that have, because we're not free. Aquarius, I'm going to step back here for a moment. Pluto in Aquarius is about breaking out of those limitations to find our freedom. And our freedom is in our individuality. And our individuality is linked with this energy of coming from what our heart tells us to do. And so, like I said in the beginning, we are being all drawn inward and learning to focus on what's happening on the inside of our bodies because we haven't been taught that. We've been taught and conditioned to follow what's on the outside, and that is what's changing. So, if you notice, there are three planets in Sag, and Venus and Mercury, this energy of relating and the energy of acting are all in Sagittarius, and they're all conjunct the sun. They're both conjunct the sun. And this is about, this one is a closing conjunction. This energy of Venus is how we relate to each other and what we attune to. Where what we have attuned to in the past. Now, Venus just moved out of Scorpio, so it's been linked to what it has attuned to. Venus is about our values. It's about it's the planet that rules Taurus, and it also rules Libra, so it is a like a mirror image of what we value and how we survive in this world, and then how that is reflected outside of us. So generally linked to our relationships, but it can be anything on the outside of us. And the values that we have had in the past are really linked to gaining money and wealth and just really on the social level, which further, by the way, separates us because there are many people that have, there are many people that don't have. Some people have a whole bunch, several houses, several cars. And then there's some people that don't have anything and are just living on the streets. And it makes this big separation. And so this is the South Node in Virgo that happens with our value structure, which is linked to our perception of reality. And when I talk about this perception and how it's fed to us from the external, and now we are learning to come from the internal. And in order to do that, we have to break free from this emotional attachment that we've had to our value system. Now I'm speaking to you exactly what the meaning of this Uranus in Taurus is about. Uranus has retrograded back. All the retrogrades are about accelerations to really help us to focus and break free, particularly from the value structure, what we have been valuing. And it's opposing now the planet that rules values, which is saying we can move beyond this energy of what is beyond the limitations. Now, we don't know. I want to talk about this Sagittarius archetype because what I've called my written moon report is that our truth will set us free. It's freedom is what we're all working toward right now. We need to break free out of this way that we're living and really find what's coming next. And the only way we can do this is to let go of the past and to head toward the future. Sagittarius is ruled by Jupiter. Now, Jupiter is now retrograde in Cancer. Jupiter is the planet that links to our intuition. It's the part of the brain that gathers information from either within the self or through the external planets. You can get a download from, Neptune or Uranus into your conscious mind and have this ooh, ah, ha ha moment. Oh, it's this external energy that comes in, and it really comes into us through Jupiter, because Mercury takes its information in through the five senses. So it's like if you look at the way our science is you can if you can see it, touch it, taste it, smell it, feel it, that is the reality. Jupiter is more flowy. It's not as tangible as the Mercury. Yet, many scientists get those downloads uh, that come from within, but then the job they have is to prove it. So Jupiter gets its energy from the source, this Piscean energy, and it comes through symbols and signs and intuition, synchronicity. And from there, we can transfer it then to the Gemini Mercury archetype, to the right brain, left brain. So, this is what I believe this energy is um, talking to us about. It's about integrating what we know from the external data we have collected to what will set us free through our intuition. We're not ever leaving one behind. You can't separate, the left brain from the right brain, but we can integrate them so we can be guided from both the internal and the external. What else did I want to talk about? Yes, I want to say that Saturn has gone direct. So this conjunction up here is important because what Neptune does is dissolve everything that is no longer useful. It's retrograde. It's been retrograde for some time now. It's getting ready to go direct. And eventually, these two planets will end up at the 0 point in February. I'm going to be talking about that with a fellow astrologer for the next moon, so stay tuned for that. Um, it should be an interesting conversation between the two of us, but it will be surrounding this new moon in Sagittarius, of which this is the precursor. So these two energies, this is about dissolving the past. Saturn is about becoming our own authority while it was retrograde, and now it's going forward. We can literally crystallize what we want to see in the world. I'm pointing this out because there's a very important alignment here. Let's see if I can show it to you there. This is a grand trine, and it's really linked to this Piscean energy. Our perspective over here, and also our emotional energy and our intuition. This what's happening in our inner world can be crystallized on an emotional level through this is the emotional growth energy. This would be linked to this nodal axis. Let me go back to the nodal axis here. Now, the moon and the sun are squaring the nodes right now, and this is a big growth change. This is this emotional change where we really have to choose to make a change with what is happening, with the way we see ourselves and the way that we understand reality. And we make this change. We choose. We can continue to follow the external and see where that heads, or we can begin to integrate what's coming from within, these subtle messages that are coming from inside the Godhead up here, and really crystallize the future. And the last thing that I want to talk about here is this kite that is happening because it's part of the water trine, is that it's based on breaking free from the value structure. And Venus says, let's move beyond those values. When we value money, for example, over human life, something is wrong. Something is wrong. This life is precious and it's a gift. And we've we've been externally led to know something that's been hidden. And so part of what's happening right now is an exposure of what the truth is. And it will come from within. And yeah, so more to be said about this energy. It's affecting all of us. And ultimately, it's leading humanity into a growth and a change. And I'm quite optimistic about it, excited. And yeah, thanks for listening to me. I hope that this has resonated. And if you want a more detailed explanation, please look at my Substack account, which I've written a quite a lengthy piece, and you can I'll link it in the comments below. Also, if you're interested in how these energies are affecting you personally or need help to decipher what's happening in your life, please reach out to me at my website, JaskKarenAstrology.com, and I will put the link in the comments below also. And I really want to thank you all for listening to me, and happy full moon in Gemini. And I hope that everybody is able to be living their truth. Have a good day.